Okay. Okay. All right. Awesome. Simple. All right. All right, guys. Take a look at this. This is actually a Harley Davidson Street 750. This is actually a 2015. And you're probably wondering, hey, why don't you do the 2021? It's because they don't make these anymore. 2020 was the last year of the 750. And this one has quite a few modifications. Of course, it has some aftermarket saddlebags on it. It looks like someone kind of drilled out the exhaust or something, took the baffles out, because it is super loud. Usually these are so quiet, it kind of sounds like almost like a sewing machine. So yeah, let's jump on this thing. Take it for a ride. I'm really interested. I actually took the MSF course. All right, so here we go. We are on high beams. Wow. All right, so this should be really interesting. Let me get my mirrors adjusted, because it's hard to do on the road. All right, so this is manual. All right, let's do it. All right, so this is going to be kind of wild. This thing is so loud, I can't believe it. Oh, this is really different. This is, ooh, it's really different on the road. I would say the steering is, wow, this thing is super loud. I don't know if I like it being that loud. And the brakes, wow, and the steering, wow, I'd say this one's pretty hard to drive actually, compared to a lot of the other ones that I've driven. Wow, and the brakes, you really have to get on the brakes, which is pretty wild. I don't know why, but it seems like the front end takes a lot more effort. Let me see, blinkers. Oh, this is hard to get used to. Oh. Wow. This thing is super loud. This thing is, and the brakes, you really gotta get on the brakes. The funny thing about the brakes on this one is the brakes definitely need to be adjusted, because the brake pedal needs to be brought up a lot more, because you have to really get on the brakes. All right, so I have to cancel the blinkers. Looks like I still have the high beam on. This bike. It is really super loud. It seems like the front end has a completely different steering dynamics than pretty much any other bike that I've been on, which is pretty wild. I'm thinking, it seems like I'm in high gear, which is, I don't know if that's right. Because this says I'm in top gear going 50. I don't think that's right. This is a wild bike, let me tell you. It is, I don't know, I think I like it with the baffles in it. I drove the 500 in the training class. It seems like there should be more gears. Like I ran out of gears, there should be a couple more. And as far as I know, this is a 6-speed transmission. So it seems, I'm not sure if it's right. I'll have to count the gears to see how the gears are. But I'm going 50 miles an hour, pretty much topped out. There's no RPM on this one. So you're like, yeah, I don't know. All right, so we're actually gonna go Let's see. Well, this guy's going on one of his favorite routes, which is different than the route that I went on before. So as far as the ergonomics, I'd say this is probably one of the most comfortable seating positions for a small bike for a really big guy like me. So I'm like 6'4", and I've been on a lot of smaller bikes before, and it seems like they end up really hurting my tailbone. And for some reason, it seems like the Street 500s and the Street 750s have better ergonomics as far as being more comfortable on your tailbone for long trips. And in fact, I actually went through the MSF course, and I was on that course for, it was like 2 days of riding. I think we spent like 9 or 10 hours of riding on these bikes. It was actually, so it's actually the Street 500, which is exactly the same as this one. The only difference between the 500 and the 750 is this is actually just has an engine that's bored out a little bit more. So it's exactly the same bike with a bigger displacement, which is pretty wild. This front end, it seems like it's hard to get used to, kind of going around the corners. It's completely different than I'm used to, which is pretty wild. You almost have to push really hard on the handlebars compared to the other bikes that I've driven. But as far as the stability, going this fast, so I was kind of distracted that it seemed like there wasn't enough gears, I guess. But after I've been driving it a while, it seems like it's really smooth on the highway. So it seems pretty well planted as far as the stability. But these brakes, yeah. So the problem is with driving an older bike like this, you're like, you know, someone actually went through and modified it, so you're not sure, all right, does this thing need new brakes, or is this the way the brakes are supposed to be on this bike? It's kind of one of the things. And this is actually a 2015, which was the first year that the 750s and the 500s came out. And so they actually made them just for 5 years, so from 2015 through 2020. I don't know about that exhaust though. That is super loud, and it just kind of rattles in through my helmet to make it even more loud. I know my bike is really loud, but I think I prefer the sound of my bike over this one. This one is super loud. All right, so I went down to first. Let's see, second. So this is second. It's like these gears are like geared really low, which is kind of interesting. So another thing I noticed on this one, so this is completely different than you'd actually find on a lot of your other Harley Davidsons, because this does not have the auto canceling blinkers that you'd find on most of your Harley Davidsons. The other thing about this is actually a water cooled bike too. Through, it seems like this bike is kind of crazy. It seems like the front end, it seems like there's a lot of resistance in this bike as far as the front end. As far as turning, I don't know what it is about this bike, but it's just harder to turn. I don't know why. And the gears are geared so low. It's pretty wild. Let's see where this guy's going. Yeah, this bike is, let me tell you, this is totally different than any other bike that I've actually been on. So kind of the weird thing about this bike is I put like 10 hours on a similar bike, the Street 500, and the problem is we were kind of cruising around the parking lots. I was actually going to count the gears, but I forgot to count them. So we were actually cruising around the parking lots instead of doing the highway. So this is like the first time doing kind of a highway drive. this bike. Let's see. Oh, these brakes are awful. Totally awful. Yeah, these brakes need some serious, work or adjusting. I don't know what it is about these brakes. But there you go. That is the Street 750. Kind of a wild bike. Not exactly what I expected as far as getting it on the highway and cruising with it. So, there you go, guys. That was my quick review of the Street 750 by Harley Davidson. It's actually a 2015. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.